And speaking of marriage, there, what has it been like for you to watch Heidi become a mom?
Well, Heidi was always, that's why I got married. I was definitely not the marriage type person all along. My best friend Brody's still not married, and we were living the single life pretty good, and the idea of getting married, in the world we were living in seemed insane. So I only got married because I knew how special Heidi was and what a powerful force, and just I just knew she'd always be the best mom ever. But our son doesn't sleep. He has like, it must be a sleep disorder or something. But we're at like year 4 of like, she doesn't get to sleep and she's still positive, and like her whole life is making sure this kid's happy. And now, all due respect also to all these moms I see, like they're not, and they always tell Heidi, like, you're the best mom I've ever seen. She's a whole nother league of the average mom. So that's been incredible. But again, it's so much more intense on a relationship, and disagreeing about things and how you're gonna do this or what you're gonna do. Like, so it's a journey. The only thing harder than probably being a parent is running a business with your spouse. So if for people who are small business owners, that business decisions are actually even harder than parent decisions.
What's doing, everybody? Welcome to First Class Fatherhood. I'm Alec Lace, and before I hit you with today's interview, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit the link in the description so you can listen to all of the interviews I've done with so many tremendous dads, including Dana White, Deion Sanders, Tony Hawk, and so many others. Now let's get going with today's interview. Joining me now, First Class Father, Spencer Pratt. Welcome to First Class Fatherhood.
Thank you so much. I love first class everything. So honored to be on the first class list here.
All right, well, let's start right here. How many kids do you have? How old?
I have one 4-year-old that feels like 400 kids at times. We've been working on a second child here for about a year, which was surprising because the first one came so easily. So that's been a journey. But I think God has been protecting me because my 4-year-old has a lot of energy. So I think God's just trying to get the right timing, is what I tell my wife. But just one child. And shout out to any of these dads that have more than one kid. Every day I think these people are superheroes. I look at all people differently now. When I see you with more than one kid, I just look over. I'm like, oh, that's a real one over there.
Yeah, I got 4 kids myself, Spencer, and yeah, it's not always easy, as you think, to get pregnant, especially after you've had a couple. My wife and I went through several miscarriages in between quite a few of our kids, so not always an easy process as it looks on TV.
Yeah, no, and the first time it was so easy. So you think, oh, we'll put obviously my wife could go back in time right after she had the first one as fast as possible. She would have started trying for the second one, but you think that it was so easy the first time, but it is what it is. I try not to, she's obviously very upset. So I try to not have an opinion anymore because it's not the one she wants to hear, obviously.
Well, let me get a quick hitter here for my listeners that don't know a little bit about your background and what you do.
So for about 100 episodes back in the day, I was on MTV's The Hills reality show. Pre that, if you never saw The Hills, for a couple episodes, I had my own show with Brody Jenner on Fox called The Princes of Malibu. Post Hills, I was on a marriage boot camp on WeTV, Wife Swap on ABC, I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here on NBC, Celebrity Big Brother in the UK, Celebrity Big Brother All Stars, and now more recently, The Hills reboot, which maybe will be going into season 3. We won't know till February 4th, but yeah, lots of reality television.
Yeah, very cool. What a career you had here, Spencer, so far. And so you said 4 years old. So about how old were you then when you became a dad, and how did that experience change your perspective on life?
I am 38 now, so I guess I was 34. I always knew being a dad was, I put it off for so long because I figured it was going to change my life, and I don't feel like I was ready for it. But the one thing that I do now I trip out on. It is so much even more than you could imagine. So I guess my spirit was aware. Obviously there's some dads that I watch that aren't 100% in, and it's not doesn't change their lives, and they do, which is great, and I'm not judging them, but there's different types of dads out there, and I feel like I am a dad that's with my son every single day at every single event. So, and which is a blessing because I sell crystals and it's my own business. Shout out prattdaddy.com. So I can have that schedule. So I understand these other dads have careers where you can't do that. So it's not maybe their choice, but I'm very entrenched I would say I'm a stay-at-home dad. So that's changed everything about my life, and what I get to do and how often I get to do things and my priorities. So I mean everything. I would say I'm a completely new human. I look back at my life pre being a dad, and part of me wishes that, I don't know if I was ready and mature enough, but if I had been able to be, one of these younger dads, how all my choices would have been so different, what I spent money on, what I prioritized. So I look now at young dads and I'm like, maybe that is the best thing because it puts you on just such a different track for your life. But then I also think how many experiences I had and reckless choices and learning mistakes and things I'll be able to teach my son not to do because I am an expert in what not to do. So, yeah, long story short, it's changed my entire existence. I only see myself now as a dad first, and everything I do is, now to fix all the things I feel like I did wrong in my life, which I'm not trying to obviously put this on my son, but at least I'm like, okay, there's a hope. These mistakes were not for nothing.
Yeah, well said. And Spencer, I think your message is important right now. I talk a lot about the fatherless crisis, the fact that we have so many kids growing up without a father or a father figure in their life. And I think a lot of guys go into it with that misconception of the wrong idea of what fatherhood is going to be, the wrong expectations that it's going to be something that's going to, get in the way of their life, their good time, their traveling, their social life. And it's not the case. I bring on so many guys who have been highly successful in their lives, and they always state that despite all the crazy accomplishments that they've had, it's really been through the experience of becoming a dad that's given them a true sense of fulfillment in life.
Oh, 100%. Like I now look at superstars and I'm like, oh, like they had their kids at this age. Like it's just it's such a shift of like focus, and it just makes life just have a new level of like just a new energy you tap into, like just dad energy. And so I'm so thankful for that. And it's a lot of pressure, which, I wasn't ready for it. Just like, oh my God, like these are such stakes. But for instance, like the smallest things are so powerful. Like, my parents have a pool, and I've swam in my pool, all my life growing up. But now, yesterday or 2 days ago, my son was like, I want to touch the bottom of the pool. So we held hands and we swam like 10 feet down and we touched the bottom of the pool. And it's like, I can't stop thinking about that. Like, even though it's so quick, it felt like a year of us swimming down and the stakes, and like, wow, I've come so far because I've taught him how to swim in the last, year or so. And now we're, swimming down to the deep end. And it's just the weirdest things become so important, and your priorities. So, yeah, I obviously am the biggest proponent now of like being a parent, and which is ironic because I was famous on this reality show for being the most anti-kid, anti-parent. Well, just I knew I wasn't ready, and that's my other thing. Like, if you really know you're not ready, it is more than what it is. It is a huge life change. So, definitely be in the right marriage and the right relationship. And, if you're already like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to be with this person, it's like, then don't try to have a kid. Like so it is very serious.
Yeah, very well said, Spencer. And speaking of marriage, what has it been like for you to watch Heidi become a mom?
Well, Heidi was always, that's why I got married. I was definitely not the marriage type person all along. My best friend Brody's still not married, and we were living the single life pretty good, and the idea of getting married, in the world we were living in seemed insane. So I only got married because I knew how special Heidi was and what a powerful force, and just I just knew she'd always be the best mom ever. But our son doesn't sleep. He has like, it must be a sleep disorder or something. But we're at like year 4 of like, she doesn't get to sleep, and she's still positive, and like her whole life is making sure this kid's happy. And now, all due respect also to all these moms I see, like they're not, and they always tell Heidi like, you're the best mom I've ever seen. She's a whole nother league of the average mom. So that's been incredible. But again, it's so much more intense on a relationship, and disagreeing about things and how you're gonna do this or what you're gonna do. Like, so it's a journey. The only thing harder than probably being a parent is running a business with your spouse. So if for people who are small business owners, that business decisions are actually even harder than parent decisions.
Yeah, I've had quite a few entrepreneurs on the show here that could attest to that. What would you say, Spencer, are the top values that you hope to instill in your son growing up?
Top values. Well, we try to always just have him, I don't know, I guess kindness, is that a value? I don't know, just to be a good person. Obviously, that's so generic, but that I feel like for my world, I rarely find good people anymore. Like maybe I just happen to attract awful people on a daily basis, but I hope to have a son that is a light, and a positive. I have friends that just no matter what, like my buddy Derek, this Olympic weightlifter, at all times, he's in everywhere he is. People think it's like act, but he's just such a good guy to strangers and everyone. He's always helping people. And I just like, when I think of people, I'm like, God, I want my son to be like that, just so kind and generous. And also, I feel like just being a good person, you attract so many great opportunities. People want you to be around. And so, kindness, I don't know if that's a value, but um, and then just to be his own person, I feel like I don't know if that's a value, but there's so many people just copying everything everyone's saying and doing, like, so just to be true to himself and not be swayed by the internet and posts and opinions, and just so which I think I will be pretty good at, making sure we go in that direction. And obviously, values, Heidi would definitely say faith. We want him to have strong connection with God, and to know there's something greater in this multiverse, and so. But I don't know if those are values. I'd have to
Yeah.
Google value. I don't even know what the definition of value is.
Well, listen, very good stuff, Spencer. And how about as far as I know he's 4 years old here. So how about as far as your discipline style? Are you a timeout guy, a spanker? How do you kind of handle discipline with him? And is that different than the discipline style you grew up with?
No, I feel like I didn't get spanked growing up, and I don't even think I had timeouts, or my parents are pretty chill. So Heidi's reads all the books. She probably could name drop 15 books. So I kind of just, she says, "Oh," like when he's like real, like it's very like out of a movie scene. She'll be like, "Oh, I see that you're going through a lot of emotions here. Are you frustrated? Can you please tell me calmly what? Take a breath, please." Like very calm and slow. And I'm just like, so I try to copy Heidi doing it. I'm like, I don't know if this works, but then he does talk, and then she'll say, "Okay, well, you're gonna have a consequence," and consequences for her, are chores, which are sweeping and cleaning and things like that. And I always say, "Hey, would you like to switch up your consequence to do 10 push-ups?" And and he'll always take the push-ups, and Heidi's like, "I don't think that's a consequence." I'm like, "Those are legit push-ups he's doing. Let me see you knock out 10 of those," where he's like, they almost turn into like they're real push-ups. So I try to get two things out of it. It's consequence and have him get yoked up. So, but no, there's no hitting or spanking, and he's a good kid, and he usually isn't he gets so much attention, and we're real good with communication. So I think Heidi's figured that one out with one of the 50 books she's read on just really talking through what the meltdown is, and how can we make this feel better for you, da, 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 da.
Yeah, very cool. And I know we got the holidays are coming up. Out of the four, I've only got one left that's still looking for the elf on the shelf that'll be popping up around here any day now. But you got any kind of family traditions or stuff like that that you're starting with him, or ones that you're passing down and you're keeping going since you guys became parents?
Just the standard Santa Claus, I'm sure cookies and milk and, what are they called? Freaking things that hang on the chimney.
You don't got the elf on the shelf yet?
I have the actual, like, we watched the cartoon and I have an elf on the shelf, like, doll, but I didn't know, like, if there's like a tradition with him or whatever.
Yeah, usually you hide him around the house. He moves in different locations. So each morning they wake up and they look to see where he is. And,
Oh, oh,
parents have gotten so creative with it over the years. You can even look on Instagram. They have them in all kind of different crazy scenarios. So
I thought it's like, here's the elf on the shelf. So maybe Heidi's been doing that. She's hip to all that.
how about as far as your bedtime routine with him? I know you said Heidi reads the books. You guys have any kind of sort of bedtime routine? You say he's having trouble sleeping. What's been working? What hasn't been working?
Oh, when I say she reads all the books, I mean like all the parenting books. But
Oh,
no,
okay.
every night we do 3 books and he picks who reads how many. So like kids' books. And we've done that since he was obviously a baby. But we try to do, dinner early because we've learned that the later it gets with him, it's closer to meltdown mode. So we try to do dinner, then a bath, and then he brushes his teeth, that whole routine, mouthwash, floss. He loves to do all that. And then we get into his bed and he, picks which he goes and picks which books he wants, and then he puts them back, and then we sing songs, which he's changes the lyrics to have to do with farting or pooping. So Old McDonald's usually just farting or pooping, which it is what it is. It's a remix. And then we say his prayers, what he's thankful for, and then lights. Hopefully he's asleep by then, but usually not. And then yeah, he's getting a little bit better at sleeping, but he could be just like my dad. My dad wakes up at 4 a.m. every day of my life, so maybe he's just ready to go and doesn't need as much sleep. Some people are like that. So, yeah, that's the sleep process.
Good stuff. How old do you think he's got to be before you'll sit down and watch The Hills with him?
Oh, that show is such garbage. He could never watch that. No, yeah, I mean, he already watches like adult Jurassic Park and King Kong, so it's not. He would think the hills is so stupid and boring. So he'd probably like us in the jungle. We showed him a couple of
Very cool.
the jungle episodes. When I ate some bugs, and he was like, "Why would you eat that bug, Dad?" And my wife, she had ate a scorpion and a rat's tail. So he thought that was really entertaining.
Yeah, good stuff. And then how about it as far as what's next for you? What kind of projects or what kind of goals you have for yourself here for the future?
Well, hopefully the hills. I still enjoy the hills and it's fun. He likes being on the hills, so he loves filming for the hills, maybe not watching it, but he loves the process of getting the mic on and the camera people at the house and the trips and the action. So I would obviously like another season of the hills. If not that, another reality show. I love doing reality shows. They're a lot of fun. And then continuing our success in selling crystals and essential oils on prattdaddy.com, and just continuing on that track and becoming, we've moved into live selling. So having like 3 live sales a day on different platforms. So, become one of the bigger live selling platforms in the world, or platforms, or just spaces in the market.
Yeah, I'm going to definitely drop the link in the description to this podcast episode so my listeners can tap it and check out, find out more about it. Last thing I want to hit you with here, Spencer, I love to ask all the dads that I get on the podcast, what type of advice do you have for that new dad or for that about to be father who's out there listening?
Well, first off, I always tell dads and the mom right away to get one of those big medicine balls, because I don't know how we would have made it through without bouncing on that ball, because it really stopped the newborn from crying instantly. It's just holding the baby and bouncing on that ball. So on just a basic level, make sure you have one of those big bouncing, like, fitness balls. Enjoy your sleep. some people sleep train, so it won't be a big deal if you're going to sleep train. That's obviously your choice. We didn't sleep train. But if you're not going to sleep train, enjoy sleeping, get some hours in. I would advise get an espresso machine if you don't already have an espresso machine. Uh, get your electrolytes on deck. No, there's no way to really prepare. And everyone is different. So some of my dad friends have the chillest, calmest babies and kids, and I'm like 3 daughters look like nothing compared to my 4-year-old boy. I'm like, oh my, so it's also what you get lined up with. But yeah, I don't. Good luck. Get ready. Not to scare anybody, but it's the real deal. There's nothing like it on earth, and it definitely made me realize that my purpose was just to be a dad, and then you understand that it really brings things down to a simple level of human existence is, being a parent and continuing and passing on things, and so it's awesome, but
Yeah.
medicine ball.
Very well said. I love the message. It's been a lot of fun for me. I got to say, Spencer Pratt, you're a first class father all the way. And thank you so much for giving me a few minutes of your time here on First Class Fatherhood.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for pumping up dads.